Hi, it's Ian from the Postal Hub Podcast.
And Marek from Last Mile Experts.
And we are the Last Mile Prophets. This is the last word on the last mile. Marek, the big news from the USA recently is that the US Postal Service has finally released its 10-year plan. 10-year plan. Could you imagine if you'd released a 10-year plan 2 years ago, how you'd be feeling right now? So, how's that 10-year plan going, everybody? Oh, great! We've had a pandemic and parcel volumes have gone this way and letter volumes have gone this way and all the rest. Marek, you and I have not read through the 10-year plan quite deliberately, because what we're going to do today is share what we reckon the US Postal Service should actually do. Now, as a caveat on all of this, obviously the US Postal Service has certain legislative restrictions on it, and it's got the whole pension thing. We're not going to talk about pensions. We're not going to talk about the legislative reform or anything like that. Marek, I want to start with something I actually told a conference the other week. I was invited by the American Postal Workers Union to be their token Australian.
Oh, I'm impressed, Mr. Kerr.
Very interesting. And what I said at that event is what I'm going to say today, more or less. Number one, Postal Service has the biggest and best physical network and the biggest and best delivery network. Now, I'll say the best. Let's just assume, Marek, that all of the US Postal Service employees are motivated, they're keen, they're dedicated, and all of that. Marek, that network is the envy of FedEx. It's the envy of UPS. We know that because they've been signing up, what do they call them? Not PUDOs, what do they call them?
Access points.
Thank you. Access point relationships here and there, willy-nilly. And Amazon would love to have that as well. And we know also that all three of them have, up until recently, been extensively using that network. And of course, they've got the delivery network, which reaches every corner of the USA. Marek, my first point is this. The US Postal Service has to make the most of what it's got. I don't think they are. I don't think they're striving. This is my key thing here as well. And there's going to be a lot of key things today, everybody. Striving for excellence. It's something we mentioned previously, and I can't remember who we were talking about, but striving for excellence in the postal sector. And Marek, do you want to quickly comment on that before I go too crazy here?
Well, first of all, I've got to get back to the 10-year plan. I mean, I remember a certain regime not too far from where I am who used to have 5-year plans, and they didn't do too well with them. And I completely agree. I mean, I find it difficult to plan for 5 months ahead, let alone 5 years, let alone 10 years. So yeah, I think it's a big challenge. Maybe we should treat it as a sort of vision, as a direction. And I think, you and I know are going to have very similar views. Some of the big issues are going to be how to leverage, because you're right, their infrastructure is incredible.
Yep.
How to leverage that infrastructure in a customer-centric manner, winning the hearts and souls of all those guys and girls out there, all of the posties who need to be engaged and need to be prepared for change. So, okay, what does it need? So, number one, in my opinion, you need incredible software. You need Uber-type interactive delivery management that's going to be super customer-centric, easy to understand, but this is the really important bit, in my view. I don't know what your take, Ian, is. Not just for the customer, but for all the employees. Help them do their stuff in an easy way.
I agree. And at the moment, the USPS has this thing called informed delivery. Have you ever heard of this? It's adding a layer of customer experience around the letter. You can preview your mail. Marketers can add things to your mail. But that's for letters. I think that you really need to focus on giving the best-in-class delivery experience or customer experience in delivery, however you want to term it, when it comes to parcel delivery. Again, let's assume that they've got the best network, the most motivated employees. They are employees. They're not subcontractors who urinate in a bottle, right? They're proper employees or contractors, because there are some contractors. But you're right, they need to have the technology in their hand. They need to be able to offer that customer a great experience to be able to manage their deliveries. And it's multifaceted, isn't it, Marek? When you just talked about the Uber experience, just for those people who might be wondering, what on earth is Marek talking about? Just give us a couple of hallmarks of what that would be.
So first of all, from the customer perspective, it should mean that you can see what is happening. You can control because you can interact. So you change your mind. You don't want it delivered to home, but to a locker or to a PUDO or to a post office. You press a button, it happens real time. When you get your delivery, if you're not happy, you can immediately comment. So not to hurt anyone, but immediately you can see if somebody needs training, if a PUDO's not working as it should, if a locker's not right, because it's the fastest way to get feedback, that sort of stuff.
And it's crucial from a management perspective. And I know that at the moment there's sort of this feeling that technology is being used to monitor employees, and certainly there's a significant e-commerce retailer that also delivers its own parcels is in a bit of strife at the moment because people are pushing back, drivers are pushing back against some of the monitoring of them. However, if the manager can see that somebody is delivering parcels after 5 o'clock in the evening consistently, that's a problem that the manager has to fix so that the employee has a manageable workload. Or maybe the employee needs extra training. Or maybe there are issues on that employee's delivery route that need to be resolved, like dogs or dangerous intersections or whatever it might be. This data can be so powerful to help employees have a better existence, to help managers manage better, and all of these sorts of things. Now, there's been a bit of coverage in the US media suggesting that the US Postal Service shouldn't try to compete with the likes of Amazon and FedEx when it comes to creating a great parcel delivery service. I say that's nonsense. I reckon...
That is just what I wanted to hear, Mr. Kerr. I completely agree. It's quite the opposite. They should take the high ground, and they should be the guys that are, because they're the specialists in the last mile. Amazon isn't a specialist. Amazon's a specialist in something else. If we could open the sort of huge, opportunity that organization has to really show how they can leverage the network, the experience, the knowledge, then that would be great. And I think let's though maybe move on. So we've said software, but software that will help serve the customer, but also serve employees. So it will help them in terms of the route that they take. There'll be training modules. There'll be maybe questions. Hey, Ian, are you having a good day today? I wonder how many systems do that. Ironically, do you know who has that in their system? The big e-tailer you talked about.
Oh, that begins with A, Alibaba.
Not sure they do enough with it. But that's one thing. The second thing, I believe, would be to have a much more holistic view, to think about smart cities, how to work with local authorities, the sharing economy, how to work with other agencies, how to make sure that you can leverage everything that's out there to make sure that what you do is ecological, that you're not creating new facilities if they're old facilities that have become redundant because of new last mile needs. And I think, that's the sort of stuff they should be looking at.
And they need to use the post office network better when it comes to delivering parcels. And there was some talk about reducing post office opening hours. My goodness. You need to expand the total opening hours somehow. Now, Deutsche Post, going back 30 years, I think it was after they merged, the old West and East German postal operations merged, there were still post offices that were open, the old hours, 8 o'clock till 1 o'clock and things like that. They closed down post offices and expanded opening hours in others such that there were more opening hours overall across the country for customers. Now, when you do things like that and give customers the option to get parcels delivered directly to the post office, for example, you allow those post offices to be better fitted out. I mean, if you look at some photos of US post offices, you think they're from the 70s or 80s. It's that sort of old look. And that influences, again, how the employees interact with their own workplace and things like that. But we've only got 30 seconds left, Mark, and we've got to talk about employees. And we've mentioned a few times over recent months about the difficulties you might have with engaging employees. Now, you've got, say, the APWU and other major unions there. What should the USPS management be doing right now?
In my view, you cannot do that without having the unions on board. And it's not about frightening them into it. These guys are pretty smart. I've dealt with unions in my life, and I think if you really engage them, you treat them as a partner, not on paper, but you really treat them as a partner, and you look together at, okay, where are we? What do we need to do? How can we make it happen? At the end of the day, I believe the unions also want the company to do well, because at the end of the day, their members will suffer if the company doesn't.
Exactly. So really, you can try and reinvent the Postal Service, or you can focus on its strengths and use that to create a fresher, reinvigorated post office that won't be the deliverer of last resort, Marek, which is right now.
And even worse, the deliverer, the carrier, and the partner of last resort. That's not where it should be.
No, it should be, well, I can say this as a postal person, it should be number one. With the greatest respect to FedEx and UPS and everybody else, Postal Service should be number one, but I'm a postal guy. Marek, we've run out of time. We could talk about this for another half an hour. Maybe we will sometime. Comment below if you want to hear more from us on this topic. Marek Różycki, thanks for being part of the Last Mile Profits today.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, everyone.